All right, race fans, here we are. This is the Ultimate Racing Network V8 Supercars Round 4. We are at Le Mans Circuit Bugatti at night for the fourth round of the V8 Supercars for 2015. This is going to be a pretty interesting race. Short on drivers this week. Also in the commentating box with me is Ryan Shelton. Say hello.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm Ryan McDowell, also known as Siphon68 from the ultimateраcingnetwork.com. We're going to get going with qualifying here. It's 20 minutes in just one moment. This is going to be incredibly tricky. This is the only track we have for night racing, or well, on the calendar anyway. This is the only one for night racing. Should prove to catch a few drivers out, maybe mix up the grid a bit. I think we're going to see that anyway with the reduced number of drivers on the grid this weekend. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, with the nighttime track, yeah, it definitely is gonna mix things up. But the biggest thing is that this track isn't easy to put down fast laps consistently, especially with turn 4, how off camber, long, and treacherous that corner is. Just as a whole, turn 4, and then the second chicane, that 7-8 complex. Those two parts of the track are really what's going to make this track tricky. But with the limited visibility, that's really going to the consistency that we're going to be able to see from these drivers is going to be a little different, going from driver to driver. It's really going to it's going to help out some of the top guys who are a little more consistent overall. So it looks like qualifying is finally underway. We got a few drivers who've gone out and started their laps. It looks like we're getting everything set up for the timing and whatnot, so we can get the best numbers for you as quick as we can. Let's see what we got coming out of the gate so far. Yeah.
Well, this first lap they're going to be on their warm-up laps here. I mean, this will be their out lap, I guess.
I'm gonna resize that banner just real quick. It's a little small. And looks like we do have our one of the top qualifiers. He actually got pole last week, Zermatt. He'll be leading this front group.
We are on board with TPR Zermatt right now. 20 minutes to qualify here. These curbs are really dangerous. There's several spots here where these curbs can just kind of drag you out into the sand. They're getting ready to start their flying laps right now. First flying lap anyway. The exit from turn 11 is so critical to getting a good start here because this is one of the longest straights coming down into turn 2 here. The Dunlop chicane.
Yeah, this that first corner isn't it's not easy, especially in these cars. It's not flat out. You're hitting the brakes going into the corner, so you're going to see a lot of these guys use as much of the track as they can to the left there, just to make sure they don't have to use as much brakes. But it is definitely one of the tougher corners that we'll go to. And this is by far one of the hardest tracks. I did a few laps here just beforehand to just to see what these guys are going to be up against. It's going to be rough. Some of these guys, it's going to be a little rough.
First out lap there, N6R Gannon with a 146.133. However, that's just their out lap, so we haven't seen any real times yet. They're coming down into the 7-8 chicane right now, or at least TPR Zermatt is in his Volvo.
Yeah, and the race last week, it really it really spiced things up, especially for the team and manufacturers. When you're looking at the point standings, there's a definite gap that's starting to increase between Vixen Racing that Zermatt or Martha are on, and LRT with the Limitless Racing. There's starting to be a gap, but then you look over in the Manufacturers Championship, and it's separated by 1 point between Volvo and Mercedes for the respective teams that they're on. So it looks like Vixen with the Volvos here that we've been seeing week in and week out do really well. They're starting to gain some traction on the competition here, but the Drivers' Championship is going to be it's going to start heating up here next couple of races.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about that, the analysis from last week of who went where, with there only being about 40 drivers participating last week, there were definitely some people that picked up points that they otherwise could not have. I mean, you look at, let me look at BG Wumba moved up 11 places, Kai PBR moved up 12, and LRT Nath, while I don't know that I could argue that he wouldn't have gained a lot of points, but he moved up 13 positions from his strong performance. So to me, a lot of that heavy movement is due to several people not being there last week, and I think this week is going to be much the same. We're probably only going to see 2 lobbies or so for this as the race weekend unfolds. We do have some preliminary times in right now. TPR Zermatt is on provisional pole with a 1:43.367. Let's see what else we've got here. N6R Gannon with a 1:43.938, so a good 0.6 back there from TPR Zermatt. They're on their second flying laps right now. I guess third flying laps just now. F4H Diablo then is third in qualifying standings right now with a 1:44.373. Another 0.3 back from that is F4H Eggy, then Kai PBR in 5th. J Parrott 46th is in 6th with a 1:45.173. That's sure to improve. We do have a merged lobby this week, so these aren't your usual drivers that you would normally see in the broadcast lobby. Now, come the race, it will be the top 20 drivers from qualifying. So there should be definitely some familiar faces there, but with it being a light week, you might see a new face or two.
Yeah, that should spice it up, especially in that second race where it's going off championship points. So we may see somebody come out of the blue, just out of nowhere, and just really spice things up in that second race. Maybe take a win from the front of the pack. That long endurance is gonna, that 45-minute race is gonna, it's definitely gonna be a lot different when you're looking at, especially at this nighttime. It's gonna, you're gonna have a lot of confidence in yourself.
Looks like TPR Zermatt has pulled over confident in his time, so we're going to switch over to perhaps Skulzy / new for our qualifying lobby here. The cars are actually still relatively close here as far as where they're at on track.
Gannon has actually put down a really good lap for, he's only about half a second off Zermatt, who, again, was top qualifier last week, and Gannon, not normally as strong as this, but it looks like he may have figured this track out pretty quickly.
Keeping in mind that LRT Nath and LRT Breeze, who are generally very good qualifiers as well, are in a different lobby. N6R Gannon, just to give you a reference, last week was he qualified 6th overall behind TPR Zermatt on pole, LRT Breeze 2nd, LRT Nath 3rd, GSR Roadrunner 4th, and Haiti T 5th. So if he can stay this close to TPR Zermatt, it's going to be definitely good for him. Last week he was nearly a second off the pace, so yeah, half a second I think would be a definite improvement for Gannon.
Yeah, and, well, taking even a look back at Long Beach, our second round, he was almost 2 seconds off the pace there. No, not Long Beach, my bad. Coda. Coda, he was almost 2 seconds off the pace there. So he's definitely picked up some speed. He's starting to figure out the car a lot better.
We are actually riding on board with Scalzi Slash now, or, well, just behind, so you can see really what the driver is seeing. There is not much light out here. I mean, he really depends on his headlights for knowing where the limits of the track are, and really to not find himself, out of line. It's a very stressful race to run this at night. It makes you, it really requires you to be almost hyper sensitive to where your car's at, because you could be drifting out of normal line. Most people find themselves about a half second faster during the day versus night, and that just goes to show you that there is some definite visibility, I don't know what you want to call it, hampering, I guess, with running this at night. Drivers just can't be as crisp, can't see all your markers and whatnot. It just makes things that much more difficult, I think, a little bit more challenging. And as Ryan alluded to earlier, this track is pretty tricky because of some of its corners anyway. That turn 4, very tricky to put traction down in nearly any car, let alone these V8 supercars.
Not only is it hard to get traction down, it's hard to get the car to turn in because you're going downhill off camber, and it's more or less like 160-degree corner. So it's a corner you're not really going to experience in any other track. So you don't really, have the, well, this is how I tuned it to do that. Well, no, it's the car is going to slide out. It wants to slide out. It wants to go into the dirt there on the left part of the track. That's just the way that turn is designed. And these cars want to go out in the dirt in the first place. I mean, they don't. They're not meant to turn it at the start of it, anyways. But with the way that corner is shaped, it's just really hard in these cars, especially.
We saw a big mistake there from Scalzi Slash just a minute ago. We do have 9 minutes in qualifying remaining. Plenty of time for these guys to run around and find the best time yet. A quick update there. N6R Gannon is now within 0.2 roughly of TPR Zermatt, so he is definitely closing in. I don't know if Zermatt is still stopped on track. I guess we can take a quick look. But N6R Gannon kind of closing that gap there and putting it down with that Mercedes. That Mercedes is kind of difficult to really wrangle around here, more so than the others. So that's a very impressive time from him. F4H Diablo then nearly getting into the 143s himself. Just a 10th behind him, J Parrott 46, a 144.231, and 0.02 of a second behind that F4H Eggy. So I think we're going to have a good race on our hands, despite being sort of lower populated this week.
Yeah, especially because Diablo is normally a top lobby driver, and so if he can get into the top lobby, he's going to be right there in that mid-pack like he normally is, and that mid-pack is shown as, especially from 2 races I've been commentating, they were showing a lot of promise when it comes to actual racing. There was just 4 or 5 guys all fighting for like 12th position, and it was one of the best racing, some of the best racing I've seen. Like Gannon is looking like he's trying to put himself on top here.
Yeah, definitely giving it a good effort. We've got just under 7.5 minutes left in qualifying here. Then we'll do up the tally and let you know who's going to be in that top 20 come race. Now the race is going to be at in just about a half an hour. It's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern. obstacles. Slash going just a bit wide here in turn 5. So tough to know when they can get back on full throttle here in these turn 4, 5, and 6. You know, a lot of people want to run this turn 6 all the way out to the exit rumble strip, but honestly, the quicker line is staying much tighter to that second apex.
Yeah, like I said, this track is just not, it's not meant for these cars. So these guys you're gonna see, especially throughout the race, especially in a 45-minute race when their tires start to kind of go away for a minute. They're going to see themselves trying different lines, searching for grip, trying to find the fastest way around, and also getting around these guys.
There's not really any spots on the track that are worrisome for corner cutting here that doesn't automatically dirty the time. There's a little bit of a point at the end of the back straight. There's a chicane there, and you can take a pretty aggressive line through there, but the game it will hit you. If you go off of those rumble strips, you'll go dirty. Even in some cases, even if you go 2 tires on the rumble strip, 2 tires off, it will consider that dirty in several spots. So in those cases, we have to defer to what the game considers clean. We're going to switch cars again then. Maybe pick up Gannon. Uses a healthy amount of feathering there.
Yeah, especially, some of these corners, 4, 5. 4 and 5 are going to be the 2 big problem points, and I think where you're going to see most of your passing happen is going to be people making mistakes at 4, going wide at 4, but also diving down into turn 2. You're going to see a lot of, especially towards the end of the race, I think we'll see a few bonsai moves going into turn 2, that chicane there. And also, a good passing point would be 6. That's probably the best passing point. It's going to be at turn 6, that double right-hander. But you'll definitely see a few bonsai passes going into the Dunlop chicane.
Yeah, definitely. Probably, like you said, one of the best passing places, I think.
Yeah, you'll definitely see more than a few passes happen just from mistakes in this track, more or less. But it's definitely, it's not hard to pass here, but it definitely isn't easy because the run going to 6 is coming from 5, which is a increasing radius corner. And with these cars not having a whole lot of grip, increasing radius corners in general always have a trouble. They're always really hard to put power down. So it's really going to be a test of skill when you're trying to get passing done here. So it's not, it's not going to be like Coda, where you're going to have to basically push the guy out of your way and make a pass. But it's definitely not going to be like Long Beach, where passing is almost impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, 3 minutes to go now in qualifying. We're seeing the times improve. TPR Zermatt now in a 1:43.1. Maybe scared a bit by N6R Gannon back out on track, ever improving his times. He himself is still in second, but has improved to a 1:43.401, so it's still maintaining about a 0.2 gap to TPR Zermatt, which is very promising for Gannon. Further down the list, we can see a gap in the 1